Hi, it's Lily Scraps. I'm doing this for Stamper Enablers. I had a lot of questions on how to do this card. This is not my design. I did find something similar and I've kind of tweaked it to be my own on, I think it is Facebook and Pinterest. Excuse me. So I am going to give you a basic tutorial on how I did this. I have made quite a few. They all come out looking a little different, and even the way you stamp it makes it come out a little different. So here I have 3 leaves, here I have 2, and I'll tell you a little secret. The reason I have 3 leaves is because I dropped my stamp and made a little mark on my card, and of course I do not want to throw the card out, so I just improvise. It's called hide and seek. So each card is a little unique, and the way the colors, how they blend, you'll get more pink in some and more red in some, and the same with the greens. And some of the greens actually have like a yellow tinge to it, so when it bleeds it has like a little bit of a yellow, which I find very cool and interesting. But you can use any color combination, but these are my favorite color combinations, and I really like the ones with pink in it. So I'll give you a little tutorial on how I did these, and then I like to decorate my envelopes to have them matching. So I'll have the card there. Hopefully I don't get it dirty. Here, I'll put it up here. So the stamps that I'm using is Joyful Christmas. It was from last year and the year before, I think. It is discontinued, unfortunately. But I know there is a few other companies out there that have a poinsettia and it's sketchy looking. So you could actually do this technique with any Christmas stamp technically, or any stamp at all, because I have done it with a lot of the Altenew stamps with their flowers. I've done the exact same technique with them, and it's a lot of fun. So we'll start off with how I did the panel. So I have my stamp set, and of course when I do these I mass produce, so I always make sure I'm using my Misty. And as you can see, she's well loved and she's stained and she's dirty, but you know what, that's a good sign that she's being used. And I'm just using watercolor paper, and it's nothing fancy. I just go to Michael's and buy whatever they have that's cheap, and then I use a coupon on it to make it cheaper. I cut them out with my Big Shot with my stitch dies. Any stitch die will do, but I use the Simon Says Stamps one, and I use the largest one in the set. So there's the set, and I take the largest one. I make my panel. I've also seen someone on Stampers Enablers. They have done the same thing, but they have actually did a torn edge, like a distressed edge, which was really pretty also. So to do my panel, I am going to hang off my stamp off the edge. So I want my panel in the center, so it's not going to be butting up on anything. Especially if you're mass producing, you want to put it in the same spot every time. So I set it in the middle, and then I take my pencil and I just mark the corners so I know exactly where I have to reposition my other papers. But I'm not mass producing for you guys, but that's what I show you how I do it. So I just take my stamp set. I don't even look to see how the position is, and I just kind of stick it on. I actually kind of like this curve and that curve for the leaves, so I kind of usually try to get the curves in there like that, and I stick that on there, and I always have my stamp set hanging off, and I'm gonna get that in my marked corners, position it on the lid. And then I'm going to take my magnets, fold down my paper, and to do this I use VersaFine, the black onyx. I got this tip from Jennifer McGuire and Christina Warner. They use it often, so I decided to try out, and I absolutely love it. Because before I was using the Stampin' Up! Black, the new formula ink that they have with the foam pads, and you can do it with that. But I find this ink gives such a nice crisp image. So I take that and I press it down and I lift up, and I don't think it's black enough, so I'm gonna just go over it again. And this is the beauty of the Misty, is that you can ink up in the exact same position. There. So for the leaves, I just leave it there on the Misty, and I just put my leaf, because they only have one leaf in this set. So I put it on a block, I ink it up really good, and then I stick my leaf on, and I just eyeball it. I do not measure or anything. Everything I do is pretty much eyeball. I'm kind of lazy that way. And then this one here, I'm gonna put it over here. And now I have to work quick, so I am going to take my folded piece of paper and I'm going to put my clear embossing powder on. So you can use any clear embossing powder you want. I was using the Stampin' Up! Powder clear, but I just got this big huge wow in the mail today, so I want to test it out for the first time. So I'm going to sprinkle that out onto it, and I will put this in a container with a spoon, but I just haven't had time for that yet. So I just shake that all off. You would actually want to use an embossing buddy on this to make sure you don't get powder everywhere else. You could use a bounce sheet. I forgot to do that, but I'm lucky it didn't stick anywhere else, so I got away with it. So I'm just going to pour this back in so I don't make a mess, and that's what I did. That's okay. We'll clean it up with a bounce sheet and a baby wipe. Put the cover back on. It doesn't want to go back on. Tighten that up. No, that's not picking it up. That's okay. I'll get a baby wipe. Always have baby wipes handy. Mine are right beside me in my drawer underneath the table. And wipe that up. And we're going to put this aside. And I'm going to close this up so I don't get ink on anything. And then I'm going to heat set. And I like for it to get nice and hot first. Then it doesn't take as long to melt. I usually check inside because usually you can see the elements start to go red. And then I heat, because it's watercolor paper, it's thicker, I like to heat up underneath first. And I give it a good zap under it. So I'll do this leaf here. And then when I see it curl, I'll bring it over. And then I heat this leaf on this side.